Welcome back, everybody, to the Get Back Guys, a podcast. The Get Back Guys are back, baby. Oh, wait, we're not all here. Nick is late, even though I was going to be late yesterday. We were going to maybe film on Tuesday, and I was like, I can't do it. I don't know if I'll make it. I've got things to do. It's called a job. And Nick and Kyle were like, let's do a Wednesday. And then Nick was like, if we do a Wednesday, I'll be late. So we ended up filming with Nick being late for some reason. But he probably knew I was going to rant about Philly for a while. So forced Kyle to be a part of that. But Kyle's with me here as always. Nick will be joining soon.
Hello.
And we got a good show today. Remember to go check, go. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Pocket Cast. Go check us out at the Get Back Guys. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter at the Get Back Guys. All in the description. You can find us everywhere. We do clip outs on YouTube. It's a great time over here. So we're gonna start. We got a couple things to talk about. There's a quarterback carousel. It feels like the well has never been deeper for quarterback talent.
True.
That apparently is available. We got some new hires in the NFL, and then we've got the championship games. We'll save the championship games for Nick. Make sure he gets here, so we'll put that off for now. So let's just start with my boys. Let's just start where the sun shines the most. Down in Philly. Not from Philly, but I feel like I want to move there one day. That's the goal. Also, Miami Heat, what are you doing? Get healthy. Stop with this breaking COVID protocols. We're losing a lot because nobody's playing. Bam's got to drop a career-high 40 points for us to still lose. I want W's. They're playing right now.
For you basketball fans, there's your basketball talk. Now on to football.
This is what happens when it's just when it's Al and Kyle, because Al just kicks Kyle out of the game plan, and he adjusts like Aaron Rodgers should have on that third down.
Wow, already, huh?
Should have ran her in. But all right, so let's talk Eagles hire a new coach. We decided something very important, Kyle. You know, the narrative for the last 2 months has been send Wentz to Philly or to Indianapolis. That means getting back Frank Reich, as the one announcer said in week 16. They're both deep Christians. They need to be together. That's how you do it. And Jeffrey Lurie said, no. We're going to bring Indy to Philly. And so we went and hired everybody. Went and hired them all. So Nick Sarini, is that how you say it? Something like that? Do you know? You're the name guy in this trio.
I was going to let you handle that. This is your Eagles talk, buddy.
Something like that. He was the offensive coordinator for the Colts. He was the wide receiver and quarterbacks coach for a long time in San Diego. I really like the hire. I was pushing for Deuce more than anybody else, but I have ended up really enjoying this hire. A couple of those mic'd ups that have dropped. I've really liked him, the way he just speaks and the way he talks to players. He's a younger guy. He's like 39 compared to Dougie P, who we hired at like 48 or something. Younger guy, bring over, and then he hires the Colts defensive backs coach, and they had a good defense this year, and they played pretty well on the back end. We need help there as the DC. I like that. He's younger too. He's like 37, 38 years old. Just hired a new QB coach today from the college ranks who helped Dak Prescott in college. Really liked him. I like these moves, and it's been bittersweet with Doug. Losing Deuce honestly hit me harder than anybody else because I've wanted him to get a real shot. I've never understood why we're doing running back coach, assistant head coach. He should have just become an offensive coordinator, got really involved in the play calling. I'm glad he's getting his opportunity with the Lions, but we really cleared house. And when Andy was fired, when we brought in Chip, we cleared most, but we didn't clear everything. We did the same with Doug. We kept some guys. This time we're really moving on. Everybody is gone, and I think it's good. I think it is a good, fresh change no matter who's at QB. I think starting young And I don't think it's necessarily the narrative is they brought in everybody to fix Wentz. I think they brought in smart offensive play people who understand the game, who can relate to players, who are strong people and can command a room, is what I've done I've seen in my research, and that is what excites me, whether it's Wentz or Hurts, because at the end of the day, it's going to be who are they coaching as the starter. And if the narrative might be fix Wentz, if Wentz is the starter, that's what the narrative is going to be, is that they brought him in to fix Wentz. It made more sense money wise to move off of him, Doug, than Wentz. But I'm good either way. I bittersweet if Wentz leaves or Hurts. I love them both. I'm just excited for this kind of new era. From the few things that have come out from the Colts wide receivers, I mean, they're talking, and some of the Chargers old wide receivers when he was their coach, they've talked about how Nick at the wide receiver position is just so elite. And then he's gotten the chance to even amp that up with the QBs and now and he was so involved in the game planning, even though he didn't call plays over in Indy, which people are just losing their minds over. Well, he didn't call plays in Indy. Frank Reich didn't call plays in Philly. Like what? Like not everybody's calling plays. Doug Peterson called some plays in Indianapolis, not really. Matt Nagy, as much as a friend of the show, Zach, likes to tell us how Andy said he was his play call. He didn't really do much of that. It was mostly Andy Reid. It's okay not to, I'm okay with you not being an experienced play caller, because a play caller is a guessing game. It's all right. We've ran these plays in practice. Is this going to work up against this matchup? Well, let's take our best shot and find out. So I'm not too worried about that. I like the hires. Could use a little more diversity there, Philly. Did that with the QB coach, but could use some more. We still got some hires to do, but still, at the end of the day, I think we ended up getting some good hires. I think it'll be really good for the team as a whole. We've got to move off of some of these older players, and we've got to get younger, and we got to get healthy. And that's the biggest thing. Is my only question mark with Nick is, how is he going to do practice? Is he going to do the Matt LaFleur thing and come in and say, look, you guys were just nothing but beat up with Mike. We can't have that. We've got to get healthy. And I really hope, and I'm assuming he wouldn't have won the job, because everybody was saying it was going to be Josh McDaniels, and then he comes out of left field.
Thank goodness it wasn't.
I want to remind people, this has been big. Jeffrey's always done the left field hire. Andy Reid was a QB coach who had never called plays. Mm-hmm. Andy Reid is going to his third Super Bowl, hopefully about to win it. I'm not too caught up on that stuff, but I like the hires. I hope the roster can get cut down. I'm excited for the draft. Having a top pick is going to be fun. Having an actual quarterback, whether it is Hurts or Wentz, but knowing you got a quarterback in place that you think is pretty good and you can go build around him, it makes me excited that maybe we can go get one of these top wide receivers that are stud muffins, or go get a top O lineman to replace these old hurt guys, or to go after some defensive stud. A lot of people think we're leaning towards one of the best linebackers in the draft, whose name's escaping me, but
Micah Parsons
might be.
That might be him.
But yeah. Our DB coach has also done such work, and our new linebackers, our new D-line and linebackers coach and everything have done such great work with linebackers, where it's get these guys a stud, and it's going to be insane. So maybe going and getting a linebacker, I'd be okay with pretty much every position but QB, because it's all right, we already got two. We don't need to go. We don't need to go get Justin Fields. There's just no need. I mean, if he is the top dog, then we're going to mortgage the farm, or just trade everybody away. I guess we're really starting fresh. But I like the way Philly is going. So that's my piece on the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. I assume, Kyle, you have no comments.
Not really. I mean, I don't know anything about Nick Sirianni. I still don't know what his last name is. I don't know much about him outside of, the little descriptions about what his jobs were previously. But it doesn't bother me too much by the sounds of it that he's, never called plays before. I don't really believe that you necessarily have to be, one of these young, hip, offensive guru type guys. I just think you need to be a guy who understands locker room culture and know how to, and understand football too. And just rebuild a locker room that I think kind of got dismantled and kind of got separated and broke apart by the sounds of things throughout the years for you guys. So I'm
Sounds
hoping
like just
that
at the last game of the year when he benched Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, and everybody just lost it. Like, that's when it really hit.
I listen to you every week throughout the Eagles season, so it feels more than just the last game. But I get what you mean.
Locker room problems until the end. Locker room problems was never an issue under Dougie P. People love Dougie P in that locker room.
Well, I mean, regardless,
I guess there's the Wentz stuff, but.
Regardless, though, like I think there are some things within there that could need fixing, and maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not. But it seems like, at least from a player standpoint, that they've heard good things about this guy, and he understands how to cooperate and be good to those players. So it could be a good situation. I mean, the Colts are also a really good franchise over there, and they seem to have some good coaches. So if they see that, then the Eagles probably made the good call in bringing that guy over as your head coach, and then bringing over their their defensive coordinator or their secondaries coach?
Their D-backs coach. Their secondaries coach is now our DC. And you know what they did in the offense over there? They ran the ball.
Yeah.
Even when the throw wasn't working, they shoved it down your throat with running back after running back. Miles Sanders ready to pop next year, baby. And I'm for it.
Yeah.
You're going to do wonders. Miles Sanders is better than any of the running backs they got over there, and I love some of their running backs over there.
Jonathan Taylor looked good at the end of the year. That's for sure.
Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, when he doesn't tear his ACL, make my fantasy season sad.
Might be a free agent now, Marlon Mack, I believe.
Well, bring him on down to Philly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind a guy like that.
He might get a cheap deal.
So,
possible.
Quarterbacks, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, both are rumored to be on the market. A lot of changes. Deshaun Watson might go somewhere. Dak Prescott might go somewhere. Matt Stafford wants out. Matt Ryan might be moved. Where on earth is the
Sam
MVP
Darnold.
Mitch Trubisky going?
Yeah.
Hey, and Aaron Rodgers, says after the game, I don't know what my future holds, and then goes on Pat McAfee's show and says, I'll probably be back. So there's a lot. There's a lot out there. We don't know what's going to happen. Tua's apparently available. Ryan Fitzmagic's a free agent. How is nobody running to sign him?
I'm sure Nick Foles is going to be released and get a deal somewhere. It's very possible.
Philly. Wherever Dougie P goes, Nick Foles follows. That's So do any of these intrigue you the most? Are there any guys there we named that you think won't leave, will leave, who's destined to leave? Cam Newton is still available. Jared Stidham, New England's Brady better next man up, who's horrible, and I called it. He's going to be available, Kyle. Who's going where? What do you got off the top of your head?
The one that comes to mind first and foremost is Matt Stafford. He's way too underrated of a player. I know that he's been in the Detroit Lions organization for many, many years, and they're always just so middle of the road and average that they don't get enough love or attention. But Matt Stafford is such a good football player. If there was any organization that needs a quarterback, immediately, the Colts or the Broncos, he could easily be plugged in, and that team could easily be a Super Bowl champion. So I'm really pulling and hoping that Stafford is either traded soon, or traded at least when trades can begin, or the Lions just say, okay, we're just going to release you. We couldn't find a trade partner, but we're going to respect your wishes because he has to be out. And I think that there's going to be a lot of teams lining up for him. And then Deshaun Watson, of course, I'm really hoping that he does get traded because I think he deserves a lot better. But I don't know. It's just such a weird situation with the Texans. I don't know if they would want to do that at all, or if they're ever going to give up, or if they're going to try and mend the broken relationship that's already there. And then Dak Prescott, I think, is going to be very intriguing. I could see him going and having a Cam Newton type situation, hopefully have a better season than Cam Newton ended up having, but be in a situation with I don't know, maybe the Niners or even Patriots, I guess, could be possible. They could plug him in on a cheap deal and he would have something to prove that he does deserve a big contract. Those are the big three. What?
Did you say Newton? Who was the last one you were just saying?
Dak Prescott.
Oh, Prescott. I think the boys franchise tag Dak. I think they just say, let's try this again. Go prove yourself. Cam Newton, I don't know where the heck he's going. It feels like he's going to go to the Washington football TBDs, go back with Ron, and maybe just kind of be compete with Alex Smith if they don't get a quarterback. Jameis Winston's on the move. I think he's probably going to re-sign with New Orleans. Jacoby Brissett might be available. I think Jacoby actually might go back to New England, especially if they go get a young QB. Might be the way to go.
Okay.
He's not that great. He's just a less good Tyrod Taylor, excuse me. For Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, I don't know where he would go. And Matt Stafford, I just don't know. Like, there's the obvious teams, the Bears. Is there another obvious team? Maybe there's not.
I think the Colts.
Yes,
I said the Colts earlier. I think Broncos is being slept on a bit too much. That team is a quarterback away.
Broncos would be interesting. The Jags aren't going to – they got Trevor Lawrence locked and loaded.
That's locked up.
A team like a couple teams who have a high pick might go after a Justin Fields and then go trade for Matt Stafford or Matty Ice and have them, have him learn for 2 years, the old Rodgers treatment. But I think Watson, I'm getting to the point where it's like he's so desperate to leave. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I just really don't. I feel like now it's leaning towards he's going to hold out and just miss a year or miss a lot of time because they're like, no, we want you. And he's like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't really see Miami trading for anybody. I think they like Tua more than the media's letting on. Any of these top QBs, if they go to the Bears or the Steelers, look out.
Steelers are an underrated pick too, I think. The Bears,
it's all on Big Ben. If Big Ben comes back, but the Bears, that defense gets bored because they know the offense won't do anything, so they stop trying. That defense is still pretty good.
Yeah,
if they move off of if they got Matt Stafford and they kept Allen Robinson, all of a sudden, go draft a good wide receiver and then get a better running back. A Marlon Mack is available, I hear. Now that's a very good roster, and that scares me. I don't love Nagy.
They have David Montgomery. He was pretty good towards the end of the year.
Dude, he's brutally okay. He's a 2-back. He needs a compliment. He's not a number 1 workhorse. That's what every Bears game I watch. 2 2s don't make a 1. Every Bears game I watched, all I thought was they really need consistency on the running from the backs. It wasn't the coach calling like the issue in Philly was. It was they're calling runs, and these guys can't do nothing. Yes, Montgomery played pretty well towards the end, but I don't see either of them as a top back. A Marlon Mack can come in and make that a real committee, I think. I've talked to our friend of the show about this, big Bears fan, but I think they need running back help. I think they need another wide receiver. And then a really good quarterback, and that team would be pretty scary. Rodgers, I don't think is going anywhere. I think Rodgers is definitely in for a year. I don't think you trade a guy who's about to win the MVP for love, just because it's like we got to get him in. We spent a first-round pick. Go make Aaron happy this year. Go get a wide receiver in the draft. Go get a top guy. Go find somebody. Bring in Allen Robinson. Snatch him from Chicago. And give Aaron another shot before you really move off him. If Aaron continues to play this good, you can't move off him. It's not Peyton Manning who was hurt. Brady did not play great his last year. Brady looked old. Played awful in that playoff game. Went and he got a million weapons, and suddenly Brady looks great again. Rodgers is carrying okay wide receivers, decent wide receivers, and a great wide receivers helping out. But Rodgers is playing at an elite level right now. He's winning MVPs, rightfully so, to the point where we're saying a 2,000-yard rusher might lose to a QB because he played that great. You can't move off of Rodgers right now. I expect him to be back and they make another push here. But any other QBs did I miss there? Anyone you want to touch on that I mentioned?
Yeah, I won't touch on much more for Aaron Rodgers. I think Nick's going to bring up a lot of stuff once he comes in anyway later in the show. So I'm not going to worry too much about that situation. I personally see Matty Ice staying with the Falcons. That was another name we were throwing out. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. Watson, that's such a weird situation. If I was the Jets or the Dolphins, like I don't know. I do got some good picks that I would want to trade for to get Deshaun Watson, don't you think? I mean, Watson's just too good not to pass up. And those two picks, I mean, I think it's worth trading away for, a talent like Watson is, but maybe that's just me. I love the guy so much as a player anyway. So maybe that's just me kind of being blind to the situation. But beyond that, though, it's just going to be so much of a wait and see. We just don't know what's going to end up happening and up until March.
If you are the Dolphins and you think, if Watson's a 10 and you think Tua's a 7, I don't think you trade 2 first-round picks and Tua, or a first-round pick and Tua. Well, if you get one, they have 2 picks in the first round, right? Don't they have a top pick? Don't they have like the third? And then they have a later pick. Yeah. If you can keep the first early pick and get Tua, trade Tua and the late one for Watson, you do it. If they're saying we want Tua and both those picks, I'm not doing it. If I think Tua's right now a 7 and can grow and be better, I'm not moving off of 2 top-tier talents that can get my team to a Super Bowl with a good quarterback. I mean, Tua has shown he's pretty good. He's young. He played half a season. He's a rookie. Watson played great as a rookie, but come on, let's give him some time. And I think if you're an organization and you can swing it to get kind of the good end of the deal there, then do it. But I mean, he definitely would be awesome for them. But if I think Tua is even a good and potentially great QB, and they're demanding him in multiple first round picks or more, I'm not doing that deal when I can go get a top lineman and another top wide receiver or a cornerback or a safety or a linebacker to make that team even better than it already is. I'm not. Yeah, I'd rather do that at the end of the day. That's just me, though.
Right. I get where you're coming from, though. Again, it's all just a wait and see. I mean, odds are like Watson doesn't get traded at all, So
yeah,
that's all I got for that situation. It'll keep developing, as will all the other ones.
Yep. All right, last major thing to talk about here. Oh wait, you wanted to touch on the Lions hiring some coaches. I hear you got thoughts.
No, I was telling you about the Lions and Matt Stafford parting ways. I already talked about the Lions hiring. What's his name? Like last week.
He's the old tight end coach, isn't he?
I don't remember now. His press conference was great, but I don't remember what his credentials were off the top of my head.
All right, well, let's just get into these 2 conference championship games that we just had. We've got our Super Bowl picks: Chiefs, Bucks. What a awesome Super Bowl, man! I love that Brady is going again. Let's not touch on that to start. Let's go to the easy side here and touch on the delay the pack as long as we can. Yeah. So Bills, Chiefs, what were your thoughts on the game and then the outcome?
I was very bummed by that game and by the outcome. I mean, am I surprised that the Chiefs won? No, I'm not. They're just so good. They have an underrated defense, and their offense is just so good. Even with a hobbled Patrick Mahomes with turf toe, they're just so good. But I was hoping that the Bills would be able to put up more of a fight, actually be able to, score more points, be able to have the defense come up with a stop of some kind. But honestly, just the Chiefs on both sides of the ball came out to play much better than the Bills did. I mean, the Chiefs had a really great game plan defensively of just playing, tight man coverage on those wideouts while the defensive line just overpowered the offensive line of the Bills and caused Josh Allen to look like 2017 rookie year Josh Allen. It was, really tough to watch. But yeah, and on the other side, the Bills defense, they just weren't able to find a way to stop, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, which, that's just always so tough to do, but you just hope for a better outcome from them than what happened in that game. So I was really hoping that the Bills would find a way to be able to win and use their momentum to carry them to the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs just overpowered them on both sides of the ball. That's just what it came down to.
Yeah, that rolling Bills train we've been talking about so much just slammed into a wall. That is Kansas City. It felt like they just couldn't keep up. That the Bills, every game, it feels like they're going to have a little bit of stoppage or a mistake here and there. And the Chiefs, their mistakes are so tiny that it just is nuts. I mean, didn't they fumble early? Like they took, like the Bills took like a 10-0 lead to start the game. If I remember correctly, they went down, kicked a field goal, then Hartman
9-0,
fumbled the ball.
9-7, something. Yeah.
And the Chiefs just come out swinging. And you know, Patty does what Patty does, but just nobody can stop Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis will sit 7 yards on an out route, and Patty will dump it to him. No one's on him. And then he books it out there for a good 10 yards. And the second somebody gets there, he dumps his shoulder into him. He picks up another 11 yards. Like, that's how big the man is. That Chiefs-Bills game was disappointing because you thought it was going to be like down to the wire, final second, Hail Mary, you know, Josh Allen or Patty Mahomes, what's going to happen? There's this narrative that a lot of executives believe Josh Allen has caught up to Patrick Mahomes' level. And I think the way that is worded is unfair. I think Patrick Mahomes is an A+ top tier right now, arguably the best QB in football. And I think Josh Allen is in that A+ class with him.
Okay.
Patty's going to do things Patty will always do. Maybe he's an A++, and Josh is just an A+. But those are still A's. Like, what? No Mitch Trubisky's around here. Those are elite guys. I think Josh has said, I think he said last year, I'm elite. I mean, he got on the players' top 100 because I complained about, Wentz not being on there. So I remember Josh Allen being on there. I think he has the respect. I think Diggs. What did you think of the image of Diggs staying on the field watching the Chiefs ceremony afterwards? You see that?
Oh yeah, I did see the image. I think it shows
sitting like this watching.
I think it shows why he's one of the best out there right now. He's clearly driven. He clearly, has that chip on his shoulder. He clearly soaks the bad in that happens in his career and makes himself better from it. Those were the only thoughts I had. Like, it only summed up what I thought of him as a player already. And, I have so much respect for him, and I understand why that he would use that as fuel, just soak in a tough situation and, get ready for the next season. Cause I think that Bills team is, really close to a Super Bowl, and I was really hoping it could be done this year, but clearly they still need a little bit more, but I think they could get there, and they'll do that with Diggs.
I mean, he's 27. He's having the best part of his career right now. Thank goodness he got traded. I think, he's sitting there and he's going, man, these guys are great. And I don't want to be on this side again. I want to be on that side. I want to be making somebody look back at me. And I like that little moment. He stayed out there forever to the point where Sean McDermott had to come out and get him. And I love Sean as a coach, longtime Philly coach. I'm glad he's really getting his just dues and has made the Bills such a good organization now. I think they go get a really good complement, another wide receiver. They need a running back. Talk about the Bears. They need running back help. They need to figure it out because they clearly didn't love Delvin Singletary enough. And Zach Moss, I think they were like, he's kind of flashing as a rookie, but I didn't really see a difference in either of them. They don't have the explosiveness. So I think they need to go get a legit running back. Go maybe spend this first round pick on somebody like that, or go get a Marlon Mack who can come in and kind of help relieve some of that pressure.
No, I'd love for them to get a guy in free agency like a Marlon Mack. And, he gets injury prone from time to time, but I mean, him with a rotation. Oh, here we go. Here's Nick. Him with a rotation of Devin Singletary and Zach Moss could be a really good complement running game for all three of them. And I've been hearing rumblings that Kyle Pitts could be like who the Bills pick up as their tight end. I I don't know too much about him. I've heard nothing but good things though.
In the
outside of
draft?
that. In the draft, yeah. So maybe they used their first round pick for him, but I'm not sure. Obviously, we'll wait and see. But that's just rumblings that I hear as of now. That could be a good idea.
Welcome
Anyway,
to the show. The man, the
Thank
myth,
you.
the legend himself.
Made it.
The top dog around here.
Sad boy hours is here.
Oh, hey,
boy.
welcome, hey, buddy. The yacht I've built has been riding all season. You're welcome on anytime. The yacht of sadness. I started building week 1 at halftime in the third quarter of that game, and it's a full blown yacht at this point. So you sir welcome anytime. We'll be 3-fingering it all day.
Make it
Aaron
4.
Rodgers, as Aaron Rodgers likes to say. So, Nick, we were just wrapping up. We touched on. Al demanded we talk Philly. We talked a little bit about the QB carousel that is possible for the offseason. And then we were just finishing up our thoughts on the conference championship games. We started with Bills-Chiefs. That's the only one we had touched on so far. Pretty much literally just wrapped up. Do you have quick thoughts on that, or we can just end up on your Packers here?
I mean, pretty expected, I think, from the Bills-Chiefs game kind of overall. I know you two picked Bills foolishly.
Late. I picked them late. Shouldn't road.
I think, I kind of just feel like Josh Allen might, he obviously played pretty good. The first 2 games of the postseason, I don't think his development is done. And I think that was just on display. And the Chiefs were just a better team at every single level of the game. Basically, they had one mistake, and it was the Hardman fumble that led to a touchdown.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs are I think have a chance, depending on how the game goes in a couple weeks, to go down as one of the greatest teams of all time.
I mean,
to
they're
be honest
already
with you,
picked as favorites to win next year.
Yeah, I mean,
they just look dominant.
The run they have gone on since Patty Mahomes came back from popping his kneecap off or whatever, in the middle of last year.
Yeah,
they've lost 1 game since then to the Raiders, and that's unreal. So we'll talk, I guess, more about
15 games this year.
Yeah,
14. Well, no, I guess they lost the last week, but they rested. They won 14. They rested in the last week. So fair enough. My bad. Yeah,
that week doesn't count.
Yeah, it really doesn't. So they've been on a tear, but we can talk about them more whenever we make our predictions for the Super Bowl. Is that this week or is that next week?
So we have a week off this weekend. There's no football, right? And then next week is the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're gonna wait to make our Super Bowl predictions till then. Tease it a little bit.
Yeah, let's wait.
Yeah, I think. Well, we could tease this. We had talked about maybe doing a cool little thing with the show. Might have some special guests on, so look for that. There we go. So we'll hold off on our picks, and I think you showed up late, so you won't be on long. But let's just wrap up here with our final topic, which was your Bucs-Packers game, which I'm sure you got a lot to talk about. We did touch on Aaron Rodgers on Pat's show, and a little bit with the QB carousel, but we didn't go too deep into it. So should we start with you, sir? I know you're disappointed.
Let's hear your guys' thoughts first.
Good, because I am so over Tom Brady and Gronkowski. I'm over them. All right, they're great. Best of all time. He's the best QB it's ever played. I still like Shannon Sharp over Gronk. I will always. I just love Shannon. But
honestly, Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
over Gronk, to be honest.
I think I wanted your pack. I'm over Tom, especially after he didn't shake Nick Foles' hand in the Super Bowl and got no flack for it. I'm over him, and he's a villain for me, and it makes the narrative more fun. It makes the games more fun when you have actively someone to root against, because a Packers-Chiefs Super Bowl, I wouldn't really care at the end of the day. I'd be leaning towards my boy here, but I wouldn't, because I love Andy Reid, so I wouldn't care. But Tom, to me, what he's doing is unheard of. It's never happened before. It is amazing. There's that whole narrative of some people are saying, well, he's not good. He just went to a really great team. Other people are saying, no, he's clearly defying the odds. I think it's in the middle. I think he's done both. I think his arm is weaker. I do not think he is as good as a QB as he has been, but I think the mental part is still there. He still gets when to duck out, when to do this, when to do that, and he just has an elite roster. I mean, his running backs to his wide receivers, obviously. He's got a great tight end. He had 2 really good tight ends for a while, and his defense is really good.
Still has 2. Brait is really good as well.
Yeah, Brait as well. And
OJ Howard's still on that team. I think
he's hurt. Yeah,
he's just hurt. That's originally who I was speaking of. But
gotcha.
And I feel bad for the Pack. I wanted them to go. It's a bummer. Kyle and I both agree we don't think Aaron's leaving, so we're curious on your thoughts. Kyle, do you have anything on the game as a whole? It was a fun game, but bummer of a game when you had a villain in there and you wanted the Pack.
Yeah, I mean, same with me to a degree. I was really hoping that the Packers could be able to learn from what happened with their previous matchup with the Bucs and, be able to roll out a win. But I think the Buccaneers were still able to do as what they did with the last time they had the matchup. They were just able to, bring the pressure to Rodgers and stop the run game at the same time. I mean, we know that they have one of the best run stopping games. That was clear in that game on Sunday. And then, Jason Pierre-Paul, JPP, and I'm spaced on the other guy's name now. But
Shaq Barrett. Thank you.
Those two just took out your tackles just every single time and gave Rodgers almost no chance at a lot of moments. So
can I tune in here real quick? Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to point this out that I think is important for the Packer game. They lose Bakhtiari, right? Your boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big
They're
loss
losing.
for that game.
They lost linemen, and that was brutal. I think there's a different narrative if they're playing. But when Aaron Jones went out, Matt gave up on the run. I don't think it was they stopped him. He gave up. I mean, Aaron Jones, before he got hurt, only had 6 carries. Williams only gets 7. And A.J. Dillon got 3. That you gave up on the run. And I think if Jones doesn't get hurt,
good point.
I mean, yeah. I really don't think it's they stopped the run. The Packers said, well, we can't run right now. They're too good, so we're not going to do it. And
I mean, it wasn't also just because Aaron Jones hurt, but also when he got hurt on the fumble, we all of a sudden were down 10-28.
Yes, and he can't be running as much then. But sorry, Kyle, finish up your thought. But I wanted to point that out because I think it's big on the game and people aren't talking about it enough.
No, that's a good point to have. I'm glad that you made that clarification. So yeah, even though I think their defense still came to play and did a good job at scheming against Aaron Rodgers in that passing game. But yeah, I think, I'm just going to repeat what everyone's saying about Brady. Like, it's still clear that he's one of the greatest of all time. Like, it's frustrating for a lot of people, like clearly for Alex as well. But I don't know. Like, it's just also cool that he's able to still prove himself despite, us being so annoyed that he's always winning. Like, I know that some people criticize him and be like, oh, he's not that great anymore. He has all those weapons. Well, yeah, that's the point. That's why he went somewhere else. He wanted to change. He wanted to prove he could win elsewhere. And he also wanted help at the same time. So he's able to get
his arm was weaker.
Sure. Yeah. But it's clear that he still has, that mentality. He still clearly gave that mentality to that Buccaneers team who desperately needed it, who was only a quarterback away from, clearly being a Super Bowl contender. And, you got to give him props and respect. It's a big part of the reason why he's now being considered one of the greats. And, I don't want to see him in the Super Bowl anymore. I'd much rather it be, Patty and Rodgers at least. But, I do have to give it that respect too. Like, it's just clear that he's going to go down in history, and this only proved to be the case. So
he's got to beat Peyton's record of, 13 seconds for the Hall of Fame conversation if he makes it. I will say this too, and I said this at the Rams Super Bowl with them. I don't want Brady to win. I want him to lose. I actively wish he was not in the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, I'm watching greatness be great. And, 20 years from now, when Brady is long gone and he's an afterthought, I'll sit back and think to myself, man, he dominated. I mean, that man was a pioneer of his time. But right now, not happy about it. So, Nick.
The floor is yours.
Yeah.
And that's the show.
Yay!
Tough loss. I just feel really bad for Aaron, really.
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird game kind of not in the same way that the first matchup was, but there was a lot of uncharacteristic, unforced errors by the Packers that really put us in a hole. And then I don't think there's any one reason we lost the game. There was a couple of really odd referee penalty calls. Obviously, the pick that Aaron Rodgers threw shouldn't have been a pick, and it very well should have probably been 13-14 going into half instead of 21-10 if they call that a holding like they should have. But also, our line played really bad. Billy Turner and Rick Wagner just got dominated, and Rick Wagner played worse than he normally does. I think people and our coaching staff overvalue Billy Turner, and we really miss David Bakhtiari. We probably roll without him, to be honest. And we just missed a few key opportunities. Devontae had a drop touchdown. We had a drop 2-point conversion right there. That's enough that would flip the game for us. But the Bucks, they came in with a really good game plan on defense, and our defense had, outside of the one really horrific play call where Kevin King gets roasted by Scotty Miller to end the first half, the defense actually played out of their minds.
3 picks. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
3 picks, and even looking at it when it was 14-10 when we had the ball, we throw the pick, and then you have the really bad play call. But for them to get their second touchdown, it took an unbelievable catch that very well could have been intercepted by Chris Godwin down the middle of the field. So they were just making some pretty good plays. Their defense actually played pretty good, and I'll talk about them more in a second. But this all actually... Last week, I talked about how I don't think Bruce Arians is a very good coach, and I believe that more now than ever. This team did not this game. If you take any other coach, definitely in the playoffs. Obviously, Matt LaFleur had a really odd play call, which makes me a little angry that he didn't go for it on 4th down, because it just doesn't make any sense. You need a touchdown either way if you don't get it, whether you kick a field goal. But Bruce, this game should not have been close after they went up 28-10. Obviously, it got back in the game because Brady threw 3 picks, but it's the reason Brady threw 3 picks, honestly, isn't as much by his play. It's by the design of their dumb offense, where it was on 3 deep balls where they just said, well, we are up by a ton, but instead of playing the clock, hitting short mid passes, we don't have that in our offense. So let's just throw it deep all the time and have a potential to throw picks. Like, that's the reason that you take a mediocre quarterback who tends to make bad decisions in Jameis Winston, and he goes from throwing 15 or 20 picks to 30 picks. And this game should not have actually been as close as it was. Those picks just shouldn't have even been a possibility. But the play calling was just so bad in the second half by them, outside of, they had the 1 touchdown off of the fumble and they had a field goal. So, I do not think Bruce Arians is a very good play caller, to be honest, and they were able to overcome it because of some big key mistakes by the Packers and a dominant defensive line performance for their defense. Obviously, it was a close game. I think we very much should have won it. I just feel so bad for Aaron and that team, because that team's going to look a lot different next year. I doubt we keep Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, Kevin King, Corey Linsley. We fired our special teams.
Are those guys all free agents?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin King is going on the market at cornerback?
Yeah, get rid of him.
Isn't he good?
No.
Not in that game.
Yeah, he was really bad in the game.
Who's
he gave
the cornerback you have that's really good?
Jair Alexander.
My bad.
Kevin King plays opposite. Kevin King's a year older.
My bad.
But also, I think we might cut Preston Smith. We might cut Rick Wagner. We might cut Christian Kirksey. I think that's all on the board. But Packers also fired their special teams coordinator. And also, there hasn't been any news about it, but any updates about if he's keeping his job or not. But Mike Pettin definitely is at least on the hot seat. I mean, we almost fired him last year. And his contract is actually up with the team.
Who is that?
Our defensive coordinator, who he used to be. He was the defensive coordinator for the Jets when they made 2 AFC Championship games with Mark Sanchez. But I think his system might be a little out of date. I wouldn't hate it if they keep him, but I also would totally be fine if they got rid of him. So that's something to keep your eye on. I don't think Aaron's leaving. I think hearing what Mark Murphy said, the president of the Packers, the president of operations, I think he said, we're not idiots. Of course, we're keeping Aaron Rodgers. Well, why I can't totally agree with the we're not idiots thing, because you did draft Jordan Love. I do not think Aaron Rodgers is going anywhere, at least not this year. I would be absolutely, I couldn't believe it unless they traded for, I don't even think they would trade for Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. So, but yeah, it's just a disappointing loss. We just didn't execute in the biggest moments. Obviously you think to those 3 and outs, where another one where there was probably a holding call on Lazard and he ends up dropping the ball on a really tough catch and we have to punt. Mm-hmm. Those really hurt, because I think if we get 1 first down there, we can get some momentum. It's just at a tough point in the game where we just felt stuck. And really just how that half turned out flipped the game, where even though we had a chance, it was always going to be, we had to play flawless after once we got down 28-10. So it's just a bummer. Packers are their offseason is going to be really interesting, because obviously they have a ton of free agents that might cut a lot of people, but they also, if Aaron reworks his contract and, certain players rework things, maybe we can pick up a few players and try to reload a little bit. I still think we're going to be good. I still think we're probably going to be the best team in the NFC North next year, as long as Aaron Rodgers is suiting up with Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur had one really bad play call. Outside of that, I think he's still a phenomenal coach. And there was just a couple of tough things in this game with how we matched up against them. We really just put ourselves in a hole. We should have won the game. Bummer. But yeah, just kind of looking forward to hopefully at least enjoying one more year of Aaron Rodgers. And I think as long as we still have Jair Alexander, Devontae Adams, he's under a contract for another year. I still think the Packers will be contenders, but this offseason will be really interesting, because we could get a little bit worse, or we could be able to kind of flip over some talent and stay the same and maybe even get a little bit better. I definitely think that's a possibility. So this offseason is going to be really interesting for the Packers, and could be a crossroads moment for how our organization goes about for the next decade, really, depending on how this offseason goes.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts here for the Get Back guys?
I'm just sad. Pain.
Sorry, Boo.
Yeah. But that's football.
Well, so watch out for next week's episode. We got special guests coming on to talk Super Bowls. Might do an old school cartoon crossover. Go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Get Back guys. Do all that wonderful, wonderful things that I like being done, that Nick likes to point out that I like being done.
You do. Hey, don't forget, go Spurs, go.
Go Spurs, go. Miami,
it's my only hope now.
Miami needs to get healthy and figure out why they're bad. It's
you're trash. You're trash, my guy. Nuh-uh. We got a better record.
Look, man, you put us up seven game series right now, we'd smoke you. Heat in 3. They have to go to 4. Heat 1 and 3. It's how good we are. Bam's going to put up 40 better. With no one. Jimmy hasn't played in like 2.5 weeks. Tyler Hero's been out. It's been just a carrot. Avery Bradley's been gone. Bam just got back. It's just ridiculous.
It's tough. Yeah.
All right. For the Get Back guys, we will see you next time.